Good evening. Guten Tag. I don't know why I started with that one. Why Guten Tag was on my mind. I'm sleepy this evening. That's what came out. If anybody follows me on social, I put up a bunch of stories and was speaking like random languages at everything I was seeing. Only like one word that I knew. I don't know. Anyway, well, welcome to Monday Movie Night, which is not a foreign show. It's definitely an American show where we check out a movie each week and then we come here and we talk about it. Let me introduce my co-host. First up, we have the one, the only Brian Smith. What's up, man?
What's up? I can't do this now, but would it be a funny bit if every time you cut to me at this point, I put on a costume to that connects to the movie we watched?
That'd be great.
Like a pit helmet and
if you could do
stuff.
that. A pit?
Yeah, pit helmet. Isn't that what they're called?
The ones that have the like where you grab the top, like that fork thingy. Is that what it's called? I don't know.
A fedora?
Oh
no, pit helmet's like the little round helmety khaki thing.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, like the football looking leather ones. No?
What? No,
okay,
like
I don't.
Like an explorer's hat.
But the one like Smokey the Bear top little four things.
No. It's a rounded top. It's a rounded top. It's Dr. Livingstone, I presume, hat, like that hat.
Okay.
When you think of a jungle explorer, you're
wow,
picturing this hat.
we went around the mountain to get that one.
I mean, it ties in
that's
perfectly.
like a Panama hat.
No, that's like a
fedora.
Hat. Yeah, that's like a cigar smoking, bringing in the Cuban exports kind of hat. No, pith hat.
Mm-hmm. Pith.
I don't know.
No, he said this the kind you do in the jungle is what I thought. Never mind.
Our other co-host, Kimberly Thompson, who you've met as she gets into the into the pithy conversation that's going on. Oh!
Today we're discussing different variety of hats. Please join us.
I really, you have to hold up a picture of it if you pull it up on your phone.
That's what I'm doing. I'm Googling it.
I thought he said that's the kind they use in the jungle. That's definitely more of a gentleman's hat, right?
I don't know. I'm guessing. Is it the one? Is it the one like the Explorer guy wears in the film that we're doing tonight? I can't see it. Hold on. Oh yeah, I got you. Like a Safari Sam hat.
Like a safari hat.
Yeah, safari hat.
They did not wear those though.
No, they didn't.
But they're called.
They wore the Panama hats.
I wouldn't call that I call it safari hat or helmet safari. It has to be in the word safari though. Anyway, let me explain what goes on here before we get crazy. Sorry. So, an amazing transition. I'm so sorry. The movie tonight was my pick. It was The Lost City of Z. It was on Zed, The Lost City of Zed. Thank you, voice. And it was on Amazon. And I picked it based on a lot of criteria that I looked through. And we'll check out the trailer. So if you haven't seen it, we're going to ruin it for you. And we're going to talk all about it. So if you haven't checked out The Lost City of Zed, go watch it on Amazon. Then you can come back and watch the rest of this episode. But let's take a quick look at the trailer, and we'll dive right into what this movie was all about. Go Gadget trailer.
You're the explorer? Give me a hand. Don't be afraid. You dream to be in a forest.
I wish to find a lost city.
What you seek is far greater than you ever imagined. Your soul will never be quiet until you find this place. It is your destiny.
There's a major exploration afoot.
Terrible disease, murderous savages. The journey may well mean your life.
Don't go. He'll not know you when you return.
I know this is a sacrifice for all of us, but it will be worth it.
A man's reach should exceed his grasp.
I am proposing that Amazonia contain a hidden civilization. If we may find a city where one was considered impossible to exist, It may well write a whole new chapter in human history.
Are you insisting that these savages, they are equals?
Their civilization may well predate our own. I call it Zed, the ultimate piece of the human puzzle.
I strongly advise you to abort the mission. It's become far too dangerous.
You must turn back. There is no turning back.
I stay here and struggle to provide for the children while you wander the jungle.
You don't care about us. You don't even care about going home. You only care about your lost city.
This search for Zed, I can no longer bear the cost.
You've come to doubt its existence.
No. I only doubt that Zed could provide all the answers you seek from it.
Hey, can I talk first?
No, you can't talk first.
Let me talk first.
I have to explain the movie before you start talking. Can I get a summary in before we?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Or go ahead if you want to. You want to steal the thunder? Go
No,
ahead.
do your summary first,
Go-
because I just
yeah.
want to get these things out there. You sure? Because they're questions. It's questions.
Okay, then I'll give a summary and then we'll
Go
do
for it. Yeah.
So, The Lost City of Zed, if you did not see the film, follows the true story. I guess I did not fact check the true story, so I imagine it loosely follows the story of Percy Fawcett, who is a British explorer who had a theory while mapping Bolivia, I believe it was, in the Amazon, that the movie tells it as he finds some pottery and he thinks that there's a larger civilization, and he makes several trips back and forth basically to the jungle to try to find that civilization. And the story ultimately culminates with I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in the middle of this. We'll talk about those, I'm sure, but the long story short of this is that you have a man who is called to this discovery in the jungle and loses his family over the courses of many years, and relationships kind of dissolve and fall apart. And then he comes back to ultimately get his family back after a horrible injury and takes his son into the woods to discover more things, and they both die. So
And they ultimately don't find anything.
So that's the gist of the film. And now you can
Take it away, Brian.
bro.
Well, I would say this, I haven't read the book that it's based on. It's based on this book about this guy's real life. I assume it's pretty faithful because there are so many things in it that don't make sense. It only happens if it's real life, I think. And we can talk about it later. But here's my questions. Why was it filmed like a horror movie the whole time? Even the trailer was filmed and felt like a horror movie. Why was that a thing? Why was the lead actor British but sounded like an American doing a bad British accent?
I've got to hold on.
Why
I've
did
got to
they speak Spanish to people in the Amazon unreached people groups? How did they speak Spanish? What a weird thing is that. And then why were the British so upset that there were civilizations that existed before the British? They knew that. Like this, they knew that at the time. Those are the things I was like, what is happening? Why is this happening right now?
All right.
Yeah, I want to tag on why. Here's some other questions. Why does the Archaeological Society look like Parliament screaming at each other
I thought that was
when
the
he's
Royal...
giving his speech?
Yeah, I thought that was the Royal Academy of Science, just like from Aeronauts.
No, it was
almost
a
the
different
exact
one.
same scene.
Yeah, it
but
was a different one
angrier,
though. They
scary
were
movie version of it.
yeah, they were like a cartography.
That was the Royal
division.
Academy of Science. Yeah.
I don't think it was the Royal Academy of Science that was in this film though. It was something.
No, in
else.
Aeronauts.
No,
yeah.
it wasn't.
Yeah, in Aeronauts it was. Yeah. Let's get to some questions real fast because that's what we do.
Why was it a scary movie? Why was it filmed like a scary
We'll
movie?
get to that. We'll get to that. I'm totally with you. If you joined us in the pre-show, you got to participate in these questions. This is definitely for Brian.
You're right, Russ.
Seriously, $12 book's not bad. It's good. A lot of people were guessing as to what your hat was you were describing.
I
And
don't know what a bowler hat is.
Russ actually came up with the best description, like a safari helmet. If you just thrown that out, that would have been much better.
This is why you should read the comments.
Corey wants to tell you guys that she loves Tom Holland. I guess it's because of his Spider-Man role. Yeah, because Corey would have probably never seen this movie when it
Everyone
came out.
Corey's age loves Tom Holland. Come on.
Yeah.
He's like
Okay. All right.
He's the it man.
It Man is the It Man.
This is not holding well for me. I rented this movie on Xfinity when it first came out for $14.99, and I was very disappointed.
I am so sorry, Jennifer. I am so sorry. Yikes.
Yeah, that's
Well, she didn't rent
great.
it for this. She rented it before this. That's okay.
Russ had some comments in there. He said true-ish, basically on the story. He says Spanish were there before them and had interactions with the natives. So that's where your Spanish is coming from.
But they kept saying they were
the
no white men.
conquistadors.
And the conquistadors were white.
Conquistadors, yeah.
They're from Europe.
I guess they're not
They're
that
European
white.
Spaniards.
I guess they're not that white to count. I want to talk about the horror movie aspect because counter to what I feel you guys are going for, I liked it. So I thought that the way they shot it was to symbolize how the jungle is a horror. Like they didn't have a physical character, so they had to symbolize the jungle as that.
But even the like there's that big party scene where they're like walking around and they look up and see the rich dude on the balcony.
I guess we're gonna
Oh,
have a Spider-Man battle now.
Hey, I heard that he's in talks about doing
Yes.
another Spider-Man film.
Yes.
Tobey Maguire?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't he too old for that now?
Yeah.
No.
Josh says you paid how much to rent that movie? I believe it was $14.99.
You are so wrong, TJ.
Russ said that he never felt a horror vibe. It seems odd that you perceived it that way, Brian. So, so yeah, where was it like the chanty like fire and the witchy kind of like palm reading
that
thing?
scene was so weird. But even
I think they were trying to create the suspense, an action that you were anticipating, but never really developed or happened. There was
like,
really,
even
you know.
the scene where he met the coward, right? They're in the coward's house and they're walking through the ballroom, and it's supposed to show you the lush extravagance of British high life compared to the jungle where he's been. And there's, still trying to show that it's still jungle-ishy or whatever. But it was filmed as if it was a ghost story. It was dark and dour the whole time, and the man standing on top. Like, at any moment, they could have all faded away to ghosts, and I would have been like, oh, that makes sense. This man's mad. It's a mad person living in a mad world at a madhouse. That's what it felt like.
See, I like that. The one thing I did like was I like the way it was colored. Like, I like the transition when he's in English life, and then when they're in the Amazon. Like, I thought it was colored very nicely, the color grade of the movie. That is the one positive thing I'll add to this movie.
One positive. Jeez, guys.
Well, no, I have a couple, and I have a long list of negatives.
All right. Oh, man. Russ said she better gotten all the extra features too. Outtakes and the deleted scenes for $14.99. I don't think you get those on the rentals. Yeah, I would say, well, I'll save that. I'll save my comment on the rental things for the end. The cinematography, though, Kim, I liked a lot. I loved that they used.
That was one of the things I was going to say.
This is one of the things that would definitely key you off to a horror movie. Did you remember the Dutch roll in the hallway? Do you remember that? Yeah. That kind of has a horror vibe.
It was clearly...
That was in the ship when he was sneaking around behind him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That whole, anyway, but
and like when he threw
like
the booze out down the sink, remember? And they have that tight, and it transitioned to the train going the same way. I can actually say I appreciated those aspects. That is one of the positives. I did like the cinematography. Like, I felt like it was shot really well, and it was shot on actual film, right? So I don't know, the way those are the good things. Like the technical side of it, I felt like was pretty good as far as like the sound, the scoring, the color grading, and like the cinematography of it are the good parts.
The filming
Everything
of it
else
made
is
me
crap.
feel like Apocalypse Now. Like, it felt in the same vein as an Apocalypse Now Or what's the big Vietnam movie?
Yeah.
With Joker. But
Joaquin Phoenix.
No,
his
like
character's name
Platoon?
is Joker, I think. Yeah, with a drill
Full
sergeant.
Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. It tonally, not the content in the movie, but the way it was filmed made me feel like Apocalypse Now and Full Metal Jacket.
It definitely was. I think this is what they were trying to achieve with that kind of vibe, is they were trying to build suspense in the fact that you don't know what's going to happen, and they're trying to mimic exactly what you would be as an explorer. You're going to be going through a jungle where you don't know what's going to happen, and I think they were trying to create that vibe. The reason I know that I was being subliminally impacted by that, and I know Kim was too, whether she says she got a horror vibe or not, but the suspense building that they were doing was when that panther jumped out. It got both of us.
Not me, man.
Well, it did. It startled me when the panther showed up, because they had been hyping a bunch of stuff. And
You're
nothing really
anticipating something's about to happen.
Yeah. So yeah, Russ is agreeing with us. He says, I guess I could get on board with a very suspense thriller vibe, but not horror. Yeah, I agree. There wasn't a whole lot of blood and guts, except for the piranhas. I guess got a little bloody.
Yeah.
Like, touche on a movie not showing like just the like rotted out corpse floating in the, you know what I mean? I feel like every like Lionsgate would have just been like close up a fish, like and like Saw style blood everywhere. And that was a great example of like how you can tell me what's going on without going over the top. Was that piranha?
I also think I know the movie it'd be like 12 hours long, but I thought it was funny that it was such a struggle to get somewhere, and then they were back home like every time. Every time they just made it back home like it was nothing. No one ever died on the way back home. They only died on the way out.
That's my negative of this film, is that I think if you took this movie and Amazon, instead of looking at it as a feature and written it as a feature, took it and made it like a 10-part, like 1-hour series, it'd be incredible. Because then like you would have those multi-dimensional characters that existed, like the wife's struggle back home that you keep referencing, the letters back and forth, the boy's life growing up, like all the different characters in the jungle that you really only get to touch on a little bit. You don't really have like huge backstories of who these people are or like what their experience is. So again, they're adapting a book. So I looked at it as like, oh God, the chapter's over. We're at another place now, which was rough because I really thought it had potential to be a really, really, really strong story and strong movie. And it is a strong story. I just think they needed more time to tell it.
Yeah, and the real life guy was friends with Arthur Conan Doyle, and he based some characters in Lost World off of him. And then I think the guy who wrote Alan Quartermain, some old adventure books I've read before, was friends with him in real life as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Kim, did you find it jumpy? Like, we admittedly, I didn't know what we were getting into when we watched this movie. We did watch it kind of late, so it was like me and Kim did talk a little bit about. Well, I didn't talk to her. I let her talk about if she had watched it at a more peppy time of day, would she have had a better response to it?
I said, I don't know. I wonder if I would have if my review of this movie would be different if I wasn't tired. This movie to me should be called the Lost Movie That Never Ends. That's how I felt about it. I was tired, but I was like, when he came out of the jungle the first time, I was like, oh great, we're at the end of the movie. Like, he made it back. Boy, was I in for a surprise. This movie is 2 hours and 23 minutes long. Yeah. And as a story, like, sure, it's probably an incredible book, but I just don't think it should have been a movie. And it, like earlier, I would have said it should have never been made into a movie. I like your idea of doing a series, because then I think it could have been done better. But they try to cram so much in there. There were so many holes, and we just jump years, and there's no character development in a lot of the characters, and it just went on and on forever. I think it created this for me a letdown. At the end, I was like, that was a letdown because not the fact that they die, the fact of like I wasted my 2 hours and 23 minutes watching this movie because they use elements to create like the suspense, but really nothing catastrophic really happens until you get to those last 5 minutes, and then you're like, you freaking loser. You now have drugged your son into this and you're both about to die. And then his response when his son is like, I'm scared, is like, no one else gets to experience this but us. Like, we're better men because of it, even though we're dying, about to be roasted over a fire in 5 minutes. Like, this is the best. Like, he's still like trying to give off this is the best thing ever. I doubt that this explorer, when him and his son is about to be roasted, said those lines. So whoever wrote that just like pissed me off, to be honest. Like,
Well,
as a parent, I was like,
that was my
this is
favorite part of the whole
bullcrap.
movie. I was like, I wish it was more of that. Because we were talking before about, you were saying you wouldn't even film in the Amazon. If someone came to me and was like, I got this thing, we're gonna go on this journey. Like they said, for glory, we'll go back in the jungle. I'm like, I'm on board for that. That conversation you had with his son, I was like, I get it. You're right. This sucks. It's not a way you want to go, but man, you've seen things people could never dream of experiencing. I'm like, yep, it's worth it. I get it.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part.
Yeah, I completely agree. Russ is definitely, I think, on the kind of plane I was. He said he watched it at 3 p.m. today, and it was slow, but it wasn't slow enough they lost interest. And he loves period pieces and adventure exploration stuff. I agree. Like, yeah, it was a fresh.
Here was my struggle too. I like, we know about Machu Picchu, we know about lost cities, and I kept thinking the whole time, I was like, I feel like I would have heard of this. Like, if he finds something, I'm pretty sure I would have heard about it by now. And so I was not surprised at the end to learn he found nothing.
Yeah. Cassandra says that I think it said that yeah, she's looking at
they set up a lot of stuff.
I think, but that's where the book thing comes in. Like, I was gonna go ahead and push Russ's next comment here. Sorry, I was looking at it. He said it was a destiny moment. He didn't drag his son. His son actually pushed him to take him. Yeah, that's true. And that's, like, there's, like I said, you break this out into a series, you get to see the son train up to go on the trip. It's just like, we have to train, and it's like years in this movie were like hard cuts.
Moments.
Like years.
Too many. The story was just
when they, it's like, and I think this.
Well, you go from the son hating him to now loving him, adoring him, and wanting to be him. Like, that was just too quick of a jump.
Yeah.
Because the last
it
thing
didn't
that Jack had said to his dad was, "Why did they make you a lieutenant? You haven't done anything." And that was the hard cut to suddenly, I want to go with you into the wilderness. Like, that was the two scenes.
Yeah.
And I get how you get there. I can fill in the blanks in my head, but yeah, it was strange.
Yeah, the another one that was this is going to Kim's point of, like, feeling like the movie was going to end or like this is wrapped it up, was it's like, all right, we see War Guy gets moved into college, gets replaced, gets sent on mission to jungle mission takes 2 to 3 years to complete. So you're on train, you see them walking through like mountainous areas, and you're like, oh man, they've been trekking forever. No, they've just now reached the first outpost that the train was supposed to originally drop them at. And this span of time and montage of them was relatively long for this movie.
Yeah.
You saw them trekking and doing all this stuff. They get there, and then it's like a little bit of jungle action years later, like back home. And it's like, they just set us up like for a weird time warp, Yeah, that was weird. I completely agree. Got some more comments. Let's see. Superfan Russ says apparently the area that I thought there was actually something does show evidence of some sort of civilization. So he was kind of right, although we don't know if he's actually right or not.
Yeah, I read they found like tunnels and possibly old roads. But have you seen Machu Picchu? Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, the son went from his little boy to one with a mustache. and the ability to climb on walls. Charlie Huffman, first of all, was a horrible pick for the lead. He's basically only good in Sons of Anarchy. So frustrating. I only rented it to watch Rob Pattinson.
Okay, Jen, I was going to tell you, I read where Brad Pitt, because Brad Pitt is one of the producers on here, was originally wanting to play this main character role. He then they decided for him that an Englishman need to play it. So it's going to be Benedict Cumberbatch. Can we see him trekking through the forest? Sherlock?
Yes.
Okay, but his wife got pregnant during the time that they were supposed to film this, and he didn't want to be in the Amazon when she gave birth. So he dipped out, and they were left with this guy.
But it's crazy, right? Because he is English. I looked it up. But he sounds
Yeah,
like
he is English.
an
They picked
American
him because
doing
he
a
is
real
English.
bad
They
accent.
wanted an Englishman to play this part.
Just to raise a hands on out of you three, did you have trouble at any point during this movie understanding the dialogue?
Yeah.
I did, yeah. I don't know if you guys
Someone
did.
needed to articulate, because it was Mumble City, especially between Robert and
Pattinson.
the Percy character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pattinson.
And like there was this whole scene, I rewound because I was like, I don't know what they just said.
There
Like,
was
it
the campfire scene
listened to
where they're
two
reading the
Cajuns
letter.
talking.
He's reading the letter back to him. I was like, what did he just say? Like, because the actions that they delivered, like if I was a director in that scene, like I read something completely into like the emotion that they delivered versus what the lines were that they said. And,
Yes, it was
and what he
totally
does,
overdone.
he looks at this like letter. He looks at the letter, and if you can't understand the dialogue, it looks like he kind of ends it with like not wanting to say what else is in the letter.
Yeah, there's something bad written.
Right, and then he hands it to the guy, and he looks at it like there's something bad in the letter. Then he throws it in the fire. But then when you go back and listen to it, he says, "And that's all."
Well, yeah, the letter was, your wife has moved, your kids are fine, we love you.
And that's all.
They're adjusting to their new place.
And they're adjusting to their new place, and that's all. And then it's like,
what I read was your youngest died of scarlet fever, your wife has left you, and she's up the hill with Ernest.
Yeah.
And we
Like,
formed a
that's
hunting
how
party
that
because
seems
the
like-
wagon's wheel has fallen off.
Oh, Joe, I forgot about that too. The beginning where he's hunting, and they're like, "Don't go in the woods. That wood kills horses." And he jumps a tiny little wall, and it's a wide open space. It's so dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. The scene though, like right off the bat, when the dudes are like trampled by the horse, like falling off though, that was out of nowhere. Like
I
again,
want to know if that was literally an accident or if they were meant to fall off that horse. Because I was watching, I was like, "Ooh!"
Right? I don't know. Because I was like, the hills are dangerous. Who cares about the woods? You had 3 dudes just eat it. Like,
yeah. Jennifer says she does think the movie would have been so much better with a different lead. But Cassandra said that she doesn't think the acting was bad. She just thinks the script was bad. So I can agree.
I think they did exactly what they were told to do. Everything was so specific, and all of it felt like a choice that was made either by the director or the actors themselves. But they felt like they were doing exactly what they were told to do. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't hold it against any of the actors.
Yeah, I
thought Sienna Miller did a great job as she played as the wife.
Oh, yeah.
The wife.
And she did an incredible job. I thought she did really good.
Russ is fact checking some discoveries. He said Machu Picchu was discovered in 1911. Fosse's first excursions were in 1906. So he was kind of looking for the rumored ancient city before Machu Picchu was a thing, at least in Eurocentric
terms. Yeah, you're right. They talk about it in the movie, like someone else found it in Peru, and he's like, "Oh, that's probably too north of where we were heading." But I was like,
right.
I bet that's what you were looking for, buddy. Like if you would have found that, it would have been a game changer.
Yeah, maybe. In terms of a film, though, like I really liked the way it was shot. I liked the acting in it. Like in the way it was shot and the looks in the film, to me, made up for a lot of the plot hole. They're not even plot holes. It's just like you're
Hey,
adapting a
Definitely plot
you're
holes.
adapting a book.
Yeah.
They're not plot holes because they hold on, delegate from Watercrest. The the I have this in my clothes, so I don't want to give it away now. But like, it doesn't it doesn't treat you like you're stupid. Like, it's not going to tell you exactly what's going on. Like, you have to read between the lines, and I like that in a film. Yes, ma'am.
This goes to my question. This is a question or an open-ended question. Okay, can we discuss the very end of this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
It
the sun.
hold on, no. It
No.
it fades to black, and then these words start scrolling.
Stop. Okay, a couple frames before that. Okay, so you have Percy and his son, and they're alluding to they're about to get roasted, right?
No.
And die. Yes, they're alluding
When
that
is
these people,
this?
because at the end of the movie, when he's like, "We're about to die," and they're kind of doing this closing scene with him.
Before, after
So-
they have drinking the stuff.
All around then.
Like that whole scene,
Okay.
that whole scene, and they're like marching them off. Okay, so do you not? I feel like the movie would have been better if it had just ended with like where you see that city, right? Because it's alluding to like they're in this lost city, right? That this tribe is part of that, right? With all the lights.
I did not.
Like what is?
Didn't read that
Hold
at
on.
all.
What I'm saying is, it's like it's alluding to the fact that they're about to die, and this is where their story ends. But then now we're in England, right? And then we go to the wife, and then she's giving you this other thread of no, they're still alive.
Right.
So what do you think? And then when you hear like the true story credits at the end, which is telling you what factually was left, it's like no, they did. Like no one ever heard from them. So there's like two. Do you think the movie was meant, the director is meaning you to be like, you choose, like, did they make it or did they die, or do you think there's an actual direction here of like, no, they made it?
No, I think
Or
you're
give this-
you're presented with an Inception style top spinning. You're left to make of it what you want. He gave you the compass at the end to provide a measure of hope. That compass could have been actually given by Fosse to someone to take back to his wife, or the compass could have just been found in the dirt, and this guy's like, "Oh, this is Fosse's compass," and then sends it back to England, or goes on a
Not
mission.
necessarily, because she comes back saying he told me that he said to give it to you, and they foreshadow that when he's like, if I decide to stay, I'm going to give this to you. So I don't know. Like, to me, the director wanted you to think that he's still alive, but I think when they're like, oh, let's add the actual facts in the movie,
I thought that
I don't know. It was like, it made you feel like torn. Like, so what's the truth? Like, I was like, so what's the truth here? Is he alive or is he dead? Like,
listen, first off,
I want to know the truth.
First off, I say compass, not compass. Just want to get that out there. Compass.
Campos.
You're talking about. I thought the first half of that final scene where the father-son was trying to set you up like they were going to kill him. I thought they were pretty clearly saying that they were adopting them into their tribe. That they weren't part of the other tribe. They weren't part of this tribe. They didn't belong anywhere, and they were saying, now you're going to become one of us. And that's why when the dude found him, he was living with the tribe.
The chief says something along the facts of
their spirits don't have a place to belong.
Their spirit free.
Let's give their spirits a place to belong. Do you remember
right, but doesn't
the very first?
But remember, if we're going back to where he's talking about the cannibalism, and then when someone dies,
of natural causes, and they would eat them to inherit the spirit of a person. They didn't murder them to set their spirits free.
I feel like that line of "we need to let their spirits."
No, find a place where they belong.
I felt like that line was saying, "No, we're about to kill them and eat them."
We've got to give their spirits a place to belong. But do you remember the very first native guide they had? Who clearly was of voiceover because they never showed his mouth moving at any point.
Right.
He talked like this the whole time. Just like this. But he says, "I'm the one who's free. Like, I belong here. I'm part of this tribe. This is my home. I'm the one. Like, you think I'm a slave? I'm the free one." And I
Right.
thought it was a callback all the way to that, to say like he devoted his life to the jungle, he devoted his life to this search, and now they're saying he doesn't belong in England. He that's not where he belongs. He was saying let's give him a place to belong. And so when the Brazilian man found him, he found him and his son living with the people that they were a part of now.
So what do you think that whole ceremony was then? Just like we're welcoming you in
Yeah, we're making
as
you
we
one of
tote
ours.
you on top of our heads like a sacrifice.
Making you one of our own.
TJ, what is your
That scene was
interpretation?
weird too. Also, just side note, where he was like reaching up, and then it cut to him looking even older, sitting alone in a chair, staring at an empty table, and then cut to his wife back in the day. And I thought that maybe they were going to say he made it back home, but his son didn't, and he was remembering all the times he had. I don't know. That was a weird scene to me.
I took it as almost the same as you're supposed to take the top, because no one really knows. What I did take away from them, like drinking and all that, was very ayahuasca ceremony to me. That's what that seemed like. Is I think that they were performing an ayahuasca ceremony on them and were probably toting them to some sort of sacred place to have a shaman like spirit guide them through the ayahuasca ceremony. So that's what I took out of that. Was it's not like it was a poison or something that was meant to kill them, but it was a mind altering, enlightening medicine that some shaman was delivering to them, and they were taking them to a holy place to kind of figure out what would come out of that. And that's how I took it. That's where they were being marched to in their like firelight hallway thing or whatever they go to at the end. I didn't take it as like they were going to be killed, like they were being toted off to be murdered. I think it was it could have gone either way. I don't know. The thing is how long did they make it after that? You know, the compass comes back again, one cutscene later, but 2 years after she's been searching for him. So yeah, that's my take on it. So I thought it was ayahuasca down to probably some shaman to figure out what was going on with them and what was their spirit, you know, really about. Were they really in tune with the jungle? Were they meant to stay? Now after that, they may have killed him if they thought they were like some like, you know, traitor or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know what happens after that, and I don't know what the research says. Maybe someone can find out. Russ actually has a comment about it. Super fan Russ. That's how I'm calling from now on. Russ said, I experienced it as a top spinning. It could go either way. After looking back over the actual facts over the story, I think they might have lived their days out with a tribe, but they could have been killed as well. So yeah. But I think that's probably
so
the
yes
conclusion.
and a no.
Yeah. What did he say here? Hold on, what did he say? I need to watch it over again, though I don't want to. But they were carrying them down to the river, not necessarily carrying them to fire. Yeah, I think it was like they were going across. It looked like it was going either across the river or.
It looked like it went
into
across the river, and then there was like stairs going up, like it went up the mountain or something.
Yeah, it went. Like,
they were bringing him into the home. That's what I thought.
Yeah. All right, let's get some scores and reviews up and running here. Let's start with who will start. Brian, you will start?
Yeah, I'll
Brian,
start.
Brian, Kim, TJ. All right, go for it.
Yeah, so here's the thing. This is a movie I really appreciate. Like I appreciate all the decisions that were being made. I appreciate the beauty and the filmmaking and the craft of it all. Like I thought the acting was strange, but I think it was all on purpose. Like I was like, this is a movie that I could see and be like, this is a well done movie. I just did not enjoy it. Right? Does that make sense? I appreciate it, but I don't enjoy it. And just like I said, I'm sure the stories were true, and that's why they're so weird. It just wasn't. I don't know. I didn't give up on it after 2.5 hours. Whatever it was, it wasn't. I didn't like it. I gave it a 65. It's an Aeronauts, man. That's why I keep bringing that up. It feels just like the Aeronauts to me. Like, it's real pretty. Got good actors doing a thing that I just don't care about.
65.
And I care about. I read the Alan Quartermain novels. If you guys, they're old, crazy, weirdo imperialist novels, and this is right up there in that kind of vein. And it's just like I don't like it.
65. That was gonna sting. Kimberly, what did you think?
Man, Brian, you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, I feel pretty much the same way. I can appreciate the cinematography. I thought the acting was pretty good. You know, it looked great. It sounded great. Yeah, but the story was just rough. I feel like there was too many holes. They were trying to cram too much. I should say in a short period of time, but it wasn't. It was a long period of time. It was 2.5 hours. And I was praying for this 2.5 hours to end quickly. This movie just was not enjoyable to me. I literally kept looking at the clock, like how much longer? And every time he came back from the jungle, I was hoping it was the last, forgetting that we had to go into a war next. I mean, it just kept going and going and going. Anyways, there's things to appreciate about it, but as far as just sitting down and watching a movie, I did not find it to be enjoyable at all. And so I gave it a 69. Speechless.
Dang.
That's right. That's 2 Fs. On my rolling average of a B. Mine.
Oh, you poor thing.
Okay. I just heard my 2 co-hosts basically give preambles about how great this movie was, how great it looked, how great it sounded.
You misheard.
How great. They talked about all the things that make a movie great, except for the one thing is they didn't connect with it. And I think the reason they didn't connect with it and they lost interest in it was because of these frame jumps that they had. They had to cover so much time in the book. When I was going back and thinking about the film, it was beautiful. Yes, I love the way it was shot. From a cinematography standpoint, you're talking about biting off a ton more than you can chew. You had a World War II scene. You had a period piece dining scene. You had multiple locations, including like an Ireland-looking field house, farmhouse kind of location where they did some of the early stuff, the hunts, all the way to the Amazonian jungle. I mean, if you're looking at this novel and you're like, we're going to turn this into a film, I mean, it seems like you would just, I mean, it would be overwhelming. And the fact that they were able to pull off all these scenes well, it looked good. I like the acting. I like the somberness in the actors, that you had to read into their stories to kind of get more out of it than what they were actually saying to you. And I think that comes from the novel aspect, right? When you read a novel, a character says a line, and then there's page after page of descriptions and emotions of what's going on around them. And as a visual storyteller, I felt like they told that story very well. So I'm not going to knock them for the fact that they had to adopt what's probably a very long, boring book. It reminded me almost of like a movie I would watch in school, like The Indian in the Cupboard. It was a story that fit its place, you know what I mean? But it's not like a great movie, but it looks good and it's going to hold a place in my heart in the future. So with that said, I gave it a 79, which I think is a strong C. I think these guys did a fantastic job with the film. I did not feel like time was slowly passing by while I was watching it. When I saw that it was 2.5 hours, I actually kind of got worried because I think we stopped it in the middle and we paused it for a second. And then I was like, wow, man, we're only halfway through this film. And then the rest half just went by like that for me. So I think I was really drawn in by what the filmmakers were doing. So yeah, I think they did an incredible job. And they were maybe a little handcuffed by the book. And I think the director wrote it. So I think he was, you know, obviously pushing a little bit of his narrative in there, where if he probably had someone that took the time to craft that story a little better, could have turned out good. I don't think it was 2 Fs though. I don't think it was 2 Fs worthy. Jiminy
Don't
Cripes.
watch this movie. Save 2.5 hours of your
Jiminy
time.
Cripes. Going into this, I had like an 81. I just want to remind you.
It's rough.
After we averaged this together, we averaged this movie at a 71, which is barely passing. That's like me and your
Well, you
Spanish
passed,
scores.
so stop your whining.
It's like
I don't want to hear
your
anything from you.
Spanish course. I'm at a 78 now. Gosh darn it.
You watch your mouth.
That's a PG-13 word. Gosh darn it. All right. Look how close Kim is now. I mean,
I know.
I
Bridging
gotta,
the gap, man.
I gotta
I'm
pick
coming-
better
I'm
movies.
coming for the top spot.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I'm
you
gonna tell you,
do.
man.
This one was crap.
F's. F's.
I think it was F. I would tell people not to waste their time on this. Like, it was just not enjoyable to me. Movies are meant to be enjoyed. Okay.
I don't know, but
This
that
was not enjoyable.
I don't. It was not. It wasn't.
Let's
it wasn't
ask
F
the
bad.
people. Please tell us what your score would be. You get an A, B, C, D, or F. Please. I assure
Just,
you, you'll have more Fs.
Just a quick recap before we go into Brian's pick for next week. Rotten Tomatoes gave this an 86.
No
but the
way.
but the audience score is 57.
Okay.
So average it out.
That seems about
Probably
right.
about where we landed. We're on track for that average between the critics score and the audience score. Yeah. 86 on Rotten Tomatoes. It is certified fresh. Fresh. Russ, this is why we're friends and you now have the title of Superfan, Russ.
Superfan.
And that's because you know Kim. Movies are meant to move you. Sometimes it's not to enjoy. I agree.
I agree too, Russ.
No, that's
Russ,
the problem.
Were
This
you
movie
watching?
didn't move me at all. This movie.
Boom.
Okay, I need someone else to chime in besides Russ. Come on,
Wait,
guys.
wait. Here's what I want to know. Russ, were you watching us when we did My Life as a Zucchini? Because if there was a movie that moved you and it wasn't joy, it was My Life as a Zucchini.
But it was-
Yes, and I give that a high score. I could appreciate that.
We did, yeah.
This movie did not move me. This movie made me want to go to sleep.
I honestly thought I thought Kim would come in where she was. I thought Brian would be a little higher. I definitely did not think Kim would rate this movie higher than Brian. I did not think that would happen.
Here's the problem.
I actually was thinking 60, and I moved it up to 69 because I was like, it's shot very well. I will give you that. And the acting's not
here's what's
terrible.
got going against you for this movie for me is like I said, and I know not everything can be like a Pirates of the Caribbean adventure story. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It just is hard to be like, oh, such a dour, like, oh, such a slog. Everyone sucks. Everything's boring. Approach to the flipping Amazon.
I never sat in a scene and said this feels long, which is weird.
No, I didn't feel long.
I did.
The people in it were living it as if it was. There were two moments where they talked of destiny and greatness and glory. And I don't know how you can live in the wilderness for years without a little bit of craziness that says, I'm fighting for glory, not for whatever the heck they were doing.
You think there should have been more of
No
that?
one knows.
Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Or there should have been more of that,
Yeah.
like, triumphant speech kind of moments?
Yes. Like, why did he care so much? They talked about how much that city meant to him, but why? What he
found some
stumbled upon
pottery,
it in
went
the
nuts,
first
and
place.
decided to go back.
See, that's
Yeah,
the
why-
that's
but
the that's
why?
but that's the layers of the onion is because the whole at the core of that man's story is the tarnished name that his father gave him.
Who did
And-
what?
Huh?
But that
What
was
did his
already
dad do?
redeemed.
His dad was like
He
some
was
sort
a
of
drunk
like
and a
traitorous
gambler or something.
soldier or something. I don't know.
He's a gambler who lost all his money. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know what it,
But
that was
you-
what it was in the movie. I don't know what it was in real life. Yeah.
I looked it up. But did you like? That's what I mean. Like you said at the beginning when you were doing your paraphrase, it's about a man who abandons his family and comes back and regains them, only to abandon them again.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me.
Because
like a
his
sad story of a-
pursuit of being a father and regaining that name and the father that he didn't have, like he was gonna. His father, he mentions that he wasn't around. That he didn't have any connection with his father. He wasn't there. He sees the brokenness in his son when he come like after his injury and all at the war. Sees the desire that his son has to have part of his father's life that he misses, and sees that as a chance to reconnect with it. So I think he saw a joy that he had and wanted to share it with his son.
A
Did
joy
he
that
miss?
was never expressed on
Did
film.
he misread the passion in his son to go to the Amazon? Maybe. I would say probably so. I don't know, but
But even what you're talking about would be that's a story worth telling. But that whole everything you just said was summed up in a half a second cut. Do you know what I mean? Like
okay,
an
and
immediate cut.
that's why I like it. I like that they were able to tell me that much in that little amount of time.
No. They didn't tell you that much. You were assuming
it
that
was
much.
it was a story
Yeah.
that took aim at race, gender, and religion and didn't beat me over the head with it. Like I liked it.
Maybe.
I think
I
that's
thought
a
it'd
stretch.
be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see. I should read the book to see how much that was actually part of the story, or how much of that was added, because it was just it's throwaway lines that didn't really impact anything.
I would say not. I mean, there's the big climax scene in front of the table where it's basically like these savages couldn't have done this when they abandoned the guy or whatever. I mean, it comes back up. It's a recurring theme through the film of like these guys couldn't have been here first. They couldn't have had these cities, like
Which I still don't understand, because the British knew of ancient great cities all over the dang place. It was a well known,
but not done by
Rome.
savages. That's what I'm saying, man. There's a lot of peels in that onion. Next week's movie. Let's check it out.
Not everyone likes onions.
They like zucchinis though. Russ said, one last comment here. Russ said that he did not see My Life as a Zucchini. Don't waste your time. This is our My Life is a Zucchini. Yeah, is that what's My Life is exactly opposite of this film. Brian and Kim loved it. Well, liked it. Probably about like as much as I like this.
Appreciated it.
And I hated it. I hated it, man. Like it had no redeeming
I cried
qualities.
through the whole
with me.
movie.
It does not make you feel joy. It makes you feel sorrow and
I felt
longing
sad
and lost.
just bawled my eyes out.
And this movie made me feel like almost, I don't know. This movie made me feel I like the place it put me in. Russ said the scene at the end with him and his son made him tear up and it moved him.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
It made me mad.
It's what ayahuasca will do to you. All right, anyway. Next week's movie, out of the prop hat, out of the pith hat, not pith hat. Brian's pick. Brian's pick, Kim. Are you ready for this?
No.
I'm going to tell you the first word, see if you can fill in the rest. All right, the first word in Brian's film is peanut.
Stay away from food, Brian.
The next word is butter.
Peanut butter cup?
And the last word is also a noun.
Jelly?
No. Peanut
butter. Butter.
The Peanut Butter Falcon on Hulu, which is about it's like he wants to be a wrestler, right? Isn't that what this is about?
I think this is one that's worth not saying anything about.
Okay. All right. This movie I think is a great pick for Brian because it could go either way. We could all like it or all hate it, but there's a lot of cool local connections to this one because it was shot up in Savannah. So I'm really curious to see it. See if we see any local sights and sounds. So yeah. So the Peanut Butter Falcon on Hulu. Tune in right here next week for Monday Movie Night, where we see if the Peanut Butter Falcon is as delicious as it sounds. Next week. I have to say,